Hello, welcome to my channel, Another Bibliophile Reads. My name is Greg. This is the beginning of week 4 of the 100 book challenge, where I have challenged myself to read 100 books that I already own before buying another book. To date, I have read 20 books, which is really good because my unofficial schedule is to finish this challenge in 20 weeks, which means that I'm already done for the week. I'm ahead of schedule, and that's really good. But I will read another 4 or 5 books today, maybe 6 if I'm lucky, just to keep myself ahead of schedule. However, I'm behind some other booktubers. I'm eating Ollie dust. And yeah, he's going to beat me this year. I'm pretty sure. But that's okay, because I beat Ollie the previous 2 years. I have finished my 21st book, Klara and the Sun by Kazau Ishiguro. He is the winner of the Nobel Prize in Literature. This is his most recent book. It is set sometime in the future in America, probably. It's never really explicitly said where this book is set, other than there is a city and a countryside. This book is narrated by Klara. Klara is a robot known as an artificial friend in this book. And artificial friends are sort of like sentient toy companions for kids 12 and up through college. And she is sitting in a store waiting to be bought. And this girl named Josie comes up. She's really fascinated with Klara because I guess there's sort of this imprinting that the kids come up and they pick the robot they like best because each robot is different from another. They are individuals. And Klara supposedly has a very good sense of observation. But she's not human, and her observations are just a little bit off from what a human would normally do. And this is getting into the really good part of Ishiguro's writing, is that he is able to capture this alienness of the robot, but still view humanity and observe things that are quite poignant. Well, it's not a huge surprise to say that Klara gets bought by Josie, but Josie is not a young girl or child. She has a very bad illness, and she may not survive her illness. And you start learning things about this world. Most children, I won't give any spoilers, but the children are not normal children anymore. Something happens to them, except some children don't get this special treatment. Well, anyway, this is Klara's observation, and she is supposed to be a friend to Josie. And Klara has what she thinks a special relationship with the sun. It is not too much of a spoiler to say that Klara sort of sees the sun as some people would envision a god, because although it's never explicitly said that these artificial friends, these robots, are powered by the sun, that the sun is a special relationship to them because they would wind down and die without sunlight because they are solar powered. And I don't know if this is a great book. I mean, lots of people are really keen on Ishiguro. This is never known as one of his best books, but I think it's a fairly solid book. The end, even from what little bit I've told you, I'm sure you can guess the end of this book. And I'm a little bit disappointed that Ishiguro did not try to do a little bit more and give a little bit of a different ending. Well, anyway, this is a good book. You can read it, but again, it will never be one of my favorite books. I have finished my 22nd book, an overview of Buddhadhamma by Payutto. It is translated from the Thai. It is sort of an instruction manual on elementary Buddhism. This is part of a reading project that I am engaging myself in. It is going to be reading books about all the 5 major religions. I'm going to be starting off listening to the great courses about each religion. And I started with Buddhism, and this is sort of a supplementary book to that course, just to get me familiar with what Buddhism is like, because I am not myself a Buddhism. As I said, it's kind of dry, very much like an instruction manual. So if you're not really into Buddhism, I don't think this book will engage you at all, but it is going to be helping me understand the religion more, because after this, I will be reading some religious texts from Buddhism, and then reading some Buddhist-flavored novels, which will include Siddhartha by Hermann Hesse and The Dharma Bums by Jack Kerouac. There will be a brief intermission to show you my 3 cats eating a churu treat. Bella is the fluffy girl, Teddy is the tabby, and Pip is the 3-legged orange cat. Look at this foggy morning in Virginia. There are crows cawing in the background. And I have finished my 23rd book last night. This is Longarm and the Windingo. This is supposed to be a naughty Western where the cowboy gets in lots of gunfights and gets laid a lot. And this book really didn't fit that expectation too much. It does have the cowboy or deputy marshal, Longarm, and he does get laid, although the sex scenes in this series are a little more toned back than the other ones that I have read. And I also think that Tabor Evans, which is almost certainly a house name, actually wanted to write a serious novel, or semi-serious novel, in this series, because in this one, Longarm is sent out to, I believe, someplace in Colorado, and he is supposed to be tracking down a half-breed named Johnny Hunts Alone, who can pass as a white man. And half-breed is the term they use in this novel. It is probably accurate for the times, but Johnny Hunts Alone is probably part of the Blackfoot Indians, and Longarm is said to get him back because he's wanted for murder. And there's an Indian who can identify him, and his daughter, who's also a half-breed, is going to escort him up to meet her father. And of course, they do the nasty. But when they get up to their location, it turns out her father has been murdered rather brutally. And they start blaming it on the Windingo. Now, the Windingo is an Indian myth. It sort of takes place of our Satan. And then more murders start happening. And the heads of the victims start disappearing. So Longarm, instead of getting a whole lot of gunfights, is actually performing the role of a detective in a murder mystery, which is kind of unexpected for a Western. And this book is a little bit longer than most of the naughty Westerns I have read. This one is like 250 pages. They usually wind up like 150, 180 pages long. So whoever wrote this book just was straining his ambition. I assume it was a he who wrote this book. And it was okay. I enjoyed it. I kind of liked the other naughty westerns I read more because they're more traditional westerns and they were a lot more naughty than this book. But you get to the end and there's a couple of different things that happen in the end. You go, okay, it's a mystery. It was decent. I will pick up more books in this series and read them eventually. It's still a gray day in Virginia. I have finished my 24th book, Erotomaniac by Jon Athan. This is an extreme horror novel. If you have read John Fowles' The Collector, you will understand a little bit of what this novel is going to be like, except that Jon Athan is really not the writer that John Fowles is, but this is a fast-moving, disturbing, short horror novel. It is also rather graphic in places where John Fowles never gets quite as graphic. Jon Athan does go down that graphic road. So if you like your horror novels short and graphic, this is it. The author has quite a lot of novels. In his afterword, he mentions that he publishes a novel a month, which is an insane pace. I have not counted up all his novels available on Amazon, but they are available on Amazon Unlimited, and a number of his novels are on Audible membership. What do they call that? Your Prime membership for Audible, where you get some of your audiobooks for free, and he has a few there too. So I will be checking out a few of his other titles later on. I have finished my 25th book, Tales from the Crypt, Volume 2, from the EC Comics line. These are supposedly educational comics, and these are all horror tales. And what's really kind of fun is they're from the 50s. And because they are stories from the 50s, you get these really obnoxious ads in the beginning about the comics codes that they are applying and adhering to. And you can see it here. Look for the seal for the confirms to the comics code. Now, I think these comics would have been better without a comics code, but I'm just an old guy, and here's some of the artwork that you get, and you get a whole bunch of different artists and comics and storylines. I love the wives in these stories because a lot of the wives in these stories are seeking to murder their husbands with a lover. And of course, the wife is always the one that gets the raw end of the deal when she attempts to murder her husband. And there's some fairly gruesome stories, about voodoo and heads that are living without their bodies and whatnot. And again, here's a story. You can see the lovely young blonde wife as she's getting angry at her husband, and she whacks him down with a fire stake poker because her lover failed to murder her husband. And those are the type of stories you get. And I enjoyed them. This was Volume 2. I will eventually be seeking out Volume 3 because, this is not the best literature in the world, but it's awful fun. Okay, that is a wrap for week 4. I read 5 books, which keeps me on schedule because if I read 5 books a week, I will have finished my 100 book challenge in 20 weeks. And I'm actually a week ahead because the first 2 weeks, I read a few extra books. They were short little novellas in the creature features. I've mentioned them before. But anyway, I'm happy where I am. Ollie is still leaving me in the dust, and he's going to win this, but that's okay. I can live with that. Thank you for watching, and keep on reading.